I am so excited. So excited, in fact. I decided that for the 5th anniversary of getting finances in order, I would start a YouTube channel. We paid in £1,000 into a Nationwide book account. And in Nationwide, a book account, you could only take money out if you have the book. And this started our road to financial freedom. The method we chose to use was the Dave Ramsey system. I'm just going to go briefly through the 7 baby steps and then talk about our journey. With step number 1, the mini emergency fund is £1,000. Now I know Dave Ramsey traditionally says $1,000. Step 2 is to write down all of your debts onto a piece of paper so that you actually know where you stand financially. Once you do that, it's to pay them off as quickly as possible. I will go into more detail about that in a very specific video relating to this one. Step 3 was complete your fully funded emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of income. Step 4 is invest 15% of income into retirement. Step 5 is save for college. Step 6 is pay off the house early. And step 7, wealth and give. So I came across Dave Ramsey, and when I took it to my husband for the first time and said to him, why don't we try this? Well, perhaps I should just tell you, I am autistic. So I can get really interested about very strange things. And on this particular day, it was all about I went down the rabbit hole, and then I decided this was the way out. This was the road to financial peace. Because if I'm honest, I was hopeless. And so when I took it to him, he just looked at me and went, ooh, latest obsession? And I said, give me 6 months, give us 6 months. And if it doesn't work in 6 months, okay, I'll let it drop. So we scraped together, sold some things, scraped £1,000 together and put it into a book account. And for me, it was so important to have it in a book account because I would actively have to go into the bank to get it out, which means that it delays the process of being able to spend the money. And for me, that was critical. Because once it goes in, I didn't want it to come out. And I think it was also about realizing that an emergency is not Christmas, because that seems to happen once a year, on the 25th of December. And it's not an emergency. But actually sitting down and writing a budget was a real bone of contention. And I was okay at writing it, but not okay at living it. So I was aware I was the main problem. I am a spender, and my husband is the saver. And I realized that I was going broke, or we were going broke, £5 at a time. And because when it came to big spends, we didn't. Other than a car and a house were probably the biggest expenses we had had. So when we actually wrote it down, it turned out that we were nearly £16,000 in debt. And in this same week, I had read an article that said a couple was 4 times as likely to separate if they had £10,000 in debt than a couple who had £10,000 in the bank. Now, I'm also aware I'm autistic and I have an autistic son. And when I read the stats on relationships surviving with special needs in the family, it was something like 12% of relationships survive having additional needs in a family. So I knew as a family that we were already in quite a difficult situation. But when I read the article that I was 4 times more likely to separate, I don't know why, but for the first time, I realized that I could change it. Because I think up till then, I was afraid of lots of things relating to finance. But actually, when I stopped being afraid, when we started to write down what we owed, because we had literally put an additional £45,000 on our mortgage. Yep, you heard it right. So on 3 separate occasions, we had added an extra £15,000 of debt onto our mortgage. So I was aware that 16,000 was a critical point at which we usually chose the easiest option, not the difficult option, of actually addressing what the problem was. And what the problem was firstly, my mental health and autism were not being addressed. And that had an impact on my spending. And by addressing that and addressing the finances, we were able to turn the tide dramatically in 5 years. Is it easy? No. Can you do it? Absolutely. We are a single income household, and my son is now in his 20s, but we can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Have we made progress? Absolutely. Is there still more to be done? Totally. Can you do it? Definitely. If I can do it, and I was the worst spender. Okay, confession time. I'm a crafter. Well, technically, I'm not sure at times I could be called a crafter. I think I was a collector of crafts. When I was passionate about a topic, I would invest crazily in all manner of things and then not actually do anything with it. So I wasn't actually completing the projects, but I was spending a lot of money doing it. So I decided one year, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to put every single receipt I spend in a craft shop. In Britain, there's one in particular that's opened up in our town. Not such a good thing. At the end of the year, I totaled the figure. I then asked my husband, my son, and a friend to all give me an estimate of what they thought I had spent in a year. You know, in my own head, a couple of hundred. My husband said 800. My friend said 1,000, and it turned out to be £1,500 on craft. I was the biggest culprit of spending money. Sometimes I spent money to make myself feel better. Sometimes I spent money because psychologically I was struggling. Whatever the reason, I had to take control over that. And doing it and learning contentment in the process is revolutionary.
Thank you for spending time with me.